Badass Bookworm, Cassandra Dowlett, and I have two friends today. We thought, well, we have some people on CP time, so it's just going to be the three of us. I think that'll be fine. This is Joy Elan.
Yes.
A poet and friend. And Rohan DaCosta, a poet and photographer and friend and former neighbor. And we're all neighbors. Well, we were all neighbors, but we didn't know it until you moved away. It's like the first time I invited you over, you're like, I live right here.
Yeah.
But we had run into each other up the street and stuff.
Yeah,
before.
at Farmer Joe's. And I'm like, wait, what you doing over here?
Yeah, we need to get together more often.
Yes.
I just barbecued on Monday.
Damn.
Mm-hmm.
And you can cook.
Mm-hmm. You seen that slap your mama seasoning in there?
Yeah.
Put it to use. I put it to use. Anyhow, I asked some people to come over and talk about the new Kanye. Maybe also just the state of music and the world and whether we're coming out of COVID, going in it. What the hell is happening? But I've heard some really interesting takes on the Kanye versus Drake beef. I don't really know what it is that got Kanye so hot with Drake if he just can't stand him being that popular. Or do you think Drake hit Kim or something? But
whatever it is, it got personal, I think.
It got personal. And Ro is from Chicago, and I know he takes his Kanye very seriously and personally and always has takes. No, we do. And can I say this too? Years ago, we did a round table at my kitchen table and we talked about politics and music and whatever. And we predicted that it would be Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Did you realize that? I have it on tape. We did.
Wasn't that 2019?
I mean, it was before we knew.
Yeah.
It was before we had any way of knowing that was
going to happen. But we were like, predicting stuff. Yeah, we're not Miss Cleo or nothing, but yeah.
We were talking about who could do it, who could win, who could get Trump out. And that was our take, believe it or not. So I know you guys got good takes on stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to have a conversation. We could take it wherever it goes. We can get really fired up on some Kanye shit. So I'm excited. And plus, I never get to see y'all, and it's good to see you.
Yes, in person, you mean?
Yeah, in person. Yeah, I see you on the socials, but socials ain't real. It's not real. It's not real life.
Yeah.
In the Zooms.
I'm taller in the socials.
Hey.
It's not the same. I don't like it.
I had also invited Roger Porter, and then he came. I wasn't clear about what day, and he came the other day. Like, you said come at 6, and I'm like, oh, on Friday, bro. And then, well, I was like, no, it's not. That's the other short guy with the bald head. And then I realized, like, maybe I invited a bunch of short guys with bald head, but all dope as fuck. All my friends, yes,
we rolling deep.
Yeah,
and we're multiplying as short, bald black men.
Not mad at it. Not mad. I got a tall, bald black man.
Yes, you do. Come watch the table. Maybe that's just, hey. You're surrounded by them.
Yep. It's a good look. Never goes out of style. So, okay. So we were just kind of catching up and getting a feel for what our takes are on those albums.
Yeah, what rating would y'all give these albums?
Did you listen
Certified
to
Lover Boy?
I listened to Summer Drake.
Summer Drake?
Summer Drake.
Okay.
I like some of his songs. I like
just a 1 to 10 real quick. How do we feel?
I'm in the 6s for me on both.
I actually was listening to it at work, and I got through, I think, half the album yesterday at Drake. So I would give it, I mean, I'm old school, so I'd probably give it a 6.
6, maybe. Yeah. I need to give the Drake a second listen for sure. I like when, I have really mixed feelings about him in general. Of course, I'm old school. I'm hella old school compared to y'all. But, I love the way you could really throw it on when you're just cooking dinner or driving the car and flossing a little or whatever. And it works for all those things. And I hate it because it's so friendly like that. He's never going to talk about important things.
He plays it safe.
He plays it so fucking safe.
We're in the middle of a global pandemic.
Right.
There's all sorts of crazy climate issues.
Yes.
Obviously we have the issues with abortion bans and all kinds of stuff.
And we just came out of a near fucking coup on our government. I mean, he's from Canada, but still,
Drake albums are escapism.
Yes.
So for whatever, however you want to take that, sometimes you need an escape, and Drake always provides that. He'll allow you to not think about things that are uncomfortable.
It does. It is pure escapism, and in a lot of ways should not be compared to Kanye, I think it's just a totally different thing. Because
Drake is easy listening.
Yeah.
You throw that on, it's elevator music, it's shopping music, it's it may not be roller skate music, but it's just like, you can have it on for any occasion. It's like white noise, basically.
Perfect example.
That's a little cold.
That's
you can't dance to white noise.
You can't.
You wouldn't be mad at it if it came on at the club.
I was trying to find a song that because I was at work, and when I'm at work, forgive me, I'm so old school. I need that 80s, 90s where it's like, it makes me want to dance so I can just
get it done.
Stuff in
the vibe slow is not going to do it.
It's like, okay, this is something I could do maybe when I'm sitting in the sauna, maybe just biking at the gym. I just need something like that. So I was just trying to find something else.
It doesn't get in the way if you're having sex. And it's on.
Having sex.
Yeah. It's like having slow jams on. It could just be in the background. No?
So that
you didn't like the idea.
Not at all. I'll be like, turn this off, put some Portuguese love on, and let's go.
I know you, Tina Marie, to the end.
So that actually brings me to a couple points, because like, Kanye, you could never ever in your life imagine having sex to any Kanye song. Name one. Now, I'm not saying you haven't.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm just saying you probably didn't do it on purpose.
That's one.
You're
and
right.
My daughter listened to it, and she's like, who is this? Slow jam.
That's the only one, because it had Jamie Foxx and Twist on it.
But that's the only one.
That does make the slow jam mixtape, though.
Yeah.
It does. He has made it into the bedrooms.
Right. That's a good one.
That's the only one.
I
forgot about that. I totally forgot about that.
But other than that, and that just came on the radio, I kid you not, just a few days ago. My daughter's like, "Oh, who is this?" And I was like, "Oh, that's Kanye, the old Kanye, the original Kanye."
The thing is, when you having sex, when you deep in it, there's really almost nothing that's gonna make you get up and pause and change the song. Once you're in it, you're just in it to the end. So if some Kanye come on, it might mess up your mood, but it's not gonna stop you.
Oh, guess what?
So
okay, and you know how do you use? You don't use streaming service. So if you're using like Spotify, hold that thought. And you want to listen to a whole album, like Kanye just came out. It's Friday. I want to listen to his whole album. Mm-hmm. I put it in my queue, right? Mm-hmm. But then I'm in the bed trying to do something else. So I switched to my slow jams playlist, right? Mm-hmm. But if you have something in the queue, it just, after the one song is over, goes back to that. So here we are in the moment with like Teddy Pendergrass or some shit. And here goes Kanye. Do you ever have any friends that need Jesus? And we literally had to stop and change it. Yeah. He had to stop and change it.
We definitely not. We're not doing that.
Yes.
That's not what we're doing tonight.
No.
We don't need Jesus in this
bedroom.
We
didn't need Jesus. We needed the exact opposite in all of it. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's funny.
That happened.
So there's a way that I can judge whether these albums were successful. One, I think both sets of fans enjoyed them. So in that sense, they are both successful. I think Drake fans were gonna ride with anything. Like a lot of them secretly deep down know this is not the bar that he's usually. It's not hitting the spot for them, but they want to save face, so they still bumping it. They like, no, this is still hype, but they know it's not living up to his standards. But anyway, the ways I can judge, whether these albums are successes at Certified Lover Boy, right? You hear that title and you think, man, I'm really about to get laid to this. We about to have, I'm about to make a baby, maybe two, And so I feel like if you did that, then the album's a success. Now for Kanye, he's on some the gospel to God type stuff, talking about his mom in heaven and everything. So, he's really trying to stir your soul with this. So if you levitate, that means Kanye was successful. If he made you ascend in some kind of way, if he stirred your soul or moved you emotionally in any kind of way, then that means he was successful in his endeavor. So,
I mean, yeah, I would agree with that. There's just a lot of it that I could do without. I'm glad he's writing about and to his mom, because I know that's so significant in his mental health and the fact that we're like old Kanye, new Kanye. I mean, I think the Kardashian, whatever the hell that is, I don't even know, didn't help him much, because he came into that being so lost and heartbroken. But I remember right before he stepped into that mess, freshly after his mom dying, he really talked about not even believing in God anymore, because the loss of his mother just made it seem impossible. And I really liked that version of Kanye that was like really transgressive and you know what I mean?
I think, just hearing from so many people after Donda came out is, the sense that I get is that people are just exhausted with Kanye. So there are a group of people who just won't listen to the album, and there are people who just kind of like, we'll tap in a little bit, but then they're like, no one wants to admit to listening to it, because no one is really trying to fuck with Kanye right now. Let's just be real. Even if because of
the politics, the Trump shit.
Yeah, it's
more than.
I mean, it's all kinds of stuff.
A lot of things.
That's
but number
that's
one,
the main thing. Saying slavery was a choice.
Oh Lord,
idolizing white men. If I hear another goddamn Steve Jobs reference Disney. Or Walt Disney,
yes,
or any of that, so there's a lot of reasons to kind of be done with Kanye in a way, but I just feel like a lot of times people allow that to I don't know, it just makes them just dismiss the music, which is fine if that's what you want to do, but just admit that that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I would say
don't just be like, oh, sour grapes, that's trash. If you ain't trying to listen to it at all, just admit that you don't want to.
A lot of
not
people
trying to mess with it.
Are going to do that.
Yeah.
Are doing that.
Yeah.
I understand it, and if it was another artist, I would too. But I have to dip in and see what he's going to do. I still have to. I have not got to the point where I don't want to at least find out and at least try to find a gem in there.
Yeah, and I approach this as an artist. I feel like one of the things about artists is that we are researchers. So you can't, even if you don't like someone or what they're about, it doesn't mean that you stop researching. Because at the end of the day, we're figuring out things about our world, and we're internalizing it and making it new art. We're learning and being inspired by things all the time. We're being inspired by things we might not necessarily agree with. There's tons of artists, or even Trump. I would say even Trump. Yeah, I'm gonna take it there.
Okay.
Even Trump, as evil and disgusting and weird as this man really is, you have to be able to admit that something worked. He resonated for people for some reason. So sometimes there's this curiosity to figure out, okay, well, all right, well, why is this the case? Because this man is clearly someone who shouldn't be alive. but something about him works, and it's just that ability of controlling like media and being charismatic and all that. Like you can take things from people who are evil and be like, oh, that's what's working for it. That's the art in it. That's what, you know. So
I mean, and Drake is doing exactly that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't have to put any interesting art on the cover.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to have an interesting title. Certified Lover Boy seems like he's just kind of trolling. Like, yeah, your auntie and your daughter both want to fuck me. And, you know, I'm that guy.
So, yeah, I think he really is doing that. Because I think he even described this album as like toxic masculinity in a way.
Right.
So
did he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So first I wanna, if you don't mind, like talk a little bit about Donda for a second.
No, go ahead. I knew you were gonna have a lot to say, so that's why we're here.
Yep, and I'm just here to listen. But I didn't do my.
I'm
I'm going to admit I did not do my assignment completely.
Me neither.
Okay.
I had planned to do more, but it's okay. We're here.
So I started off by saying Kanye, you know, people are exhausted with him, and having an album that is 27 tracks doesn't really help that.
No.
I mean,
No.
and you're listening to 27 tracks of either like gospel, you got like organs, choir, you know, you're talking about really heavy stuff and like kind of dark things as well. And like the whole album sounds pretty like heavy and dark, even at its most like moments that feel you feel some kind of levity. It still feels like a very heavy project, which I feel like that's what Kanye is about. Like he's really trying to like push things and like and just so it's just very, very heavy and exhausting. And to get through 27 tracks, my immediate impression of this album is that Kanye buried a great album inside of a good album.
Right. I would agree.
So
maybe. I don't know. You like Life of Pablo a lot more than I do.
Yes, I do. And so I feel like there's a lot of there's a lot of heat on this album, but it's also I actually don't think there's any one song that I would say is trash or bad. It's just too long. Like I actually don't want to hear one of the opening tracks, the one with Jay-Z, Jail. I actually don't want to hear that on Donda because Jail sounds like a Watch the Throne type of song, which is great on an epic album.
I wish we were having Watch the Throne. I can.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, did you get a chance to watch when he did David Letterman, This Person Needs No Introduction?
I did.
And he was, remember that scene where they were at his house and he would, is that what he was like with some weird group of, I don't want to say weird group, but it was like gospel group. He was in a robe.
He's had this Sunday service thing that he's been doing for quite some time.
So is that stuff on that album?
Yes.
Oh, well then, I have heard
and
it.
some people in the choir are complaining about not getting paid properly and whatever, but he's been doing this Sunday service thing for quite a while, and I think that is dope in itself. I don't know if I want an album of it. On the other hand, I like gospel music. Like if it's Aretha, I'll play a gospel album. If it's somebody that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like really, yeah. Like I'm not opposed.
I grew up in the church, and like honestly, him bringing this like gospel sound, I feel like is bringing that into, you know, when we were growing up, like hearing Christian rappers, you're like, oh man, that shit corny as hell. Like, what are you doing, fam? Like,
right.
But him having like one of the most popular artists of our generation be able to bring that into the mainstream hip hop, you know, when you look at American pop culture, a lot of that comes from gospel. Like a lot of our popular music, rock and like all forms of rock and roll, country, like hip hop, disco, like all that shit is coming from this place. So in a way, you know, Kanye is bringing that full circle, which I don't know if people really appreciate. When you hear the organs and you hear like these chants, or you hear like the choir, and that fusing seamlessly in with these trap or drums and these kind of drill beats and everything. Not everyone. The thing is, people hate on Kanye for not being the version of Kanye they want, but actually nobody else could make these albums. There's not a single other artist that could make this music.
I'm sure that was true of like the Beatles or anybody that went through major changes like that over their career. Yeah.
Right. So this is why like Drake is kind of, this is why he's so annoying to Kanye, because I want to get into that a little.
Yeah,
bit.
I want to know, like, is it something really stupid and petty, or is it big? And Kanye he is trying to have it be rated as a gospel album to get the Grammy for to get the sales and the awards for a Grammy album, instead of having it go up against Drake in a rap album, even though we know that Drake doesn't even write his own.
I mean, neither one
lyrics. Really, neither.
Well, I mean, Drake does sometimes, and he's even written for Kanye.
Okay.
So, but other times he doesn't. That's just like kind of the game right now for a lot of popular artists. There's a lot of ghostwriting going on. And
then they do a lot of like paying people for information to use that in the rap. Mm-hmm. But I do enjoy listening to those beef raps. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I was talking to somebody. This is a quick little tangent, but they was like, "Oh, let's not act like there wasn't a lot of ghostwriting in the 90s and 80s." And I'm like, "Are you serious? Like, the thing is, you had to pass certain clearances to actually be accepted in hip hop culture."
Stretch and Bobbito, watch that. If you don't know, because that's my era. Mm-hmm. Watch that documentary about Stretch and Bobbito, and watch all those New York rappers just go up in the radio station and fucking freestyle, and you'll have mad respect for what people were doing. It was no ghostwriting happening.
Right.
You couldn't get away. See, the thing is, and even if there was ghostwriting during that time, you could not get away with people knowing it.
Right. You'd be canceled.
Nowadays,
you'd be Milli Vanilli'd.
Nowadays, people know it and don't care.
Right.
If you knew that your favorite MC back in 91 or 87 didn't write, you was done with them. Like, that was the end of their hip hop. Maybe not their career, but
not just hip hop. Even a pop group like Milli Vanilli was canceled. Right. So definitely hip hop, of course.
So this is where I'm gonna ask. So what's the difference between like devices? We're talking about ghostwriting. One of the devices. Well, we all know Teddy produced, but one of the voices with Bobby Brown and Keith Sweat. Mm-hmm. And Keith Sweat, I'm going to pull out one of the songs I wrote, and then another song he wrote. What's the difference between when it's an R&B, they can write for other people, but in rap, they can't rap for other people?
I think they can because R&B has always been people doing, Motown was, there's writers, there's the house band, whatever. You're not going to see necessarily the same people that played on the album when you go to see that artist. And the songs where everybody recycled the same songs a lot, right? And so that in the history of R&B, that's normal.
Yeah, it was kind of expected actually that the talent would just be the vocal talent or the musician talent, and that the labels would find someone who would write for them.
Right.
That legacy, or it stretches much further back than, it's new for hip hop. So that's why it's different. It's because it's kind of a new thing for it to be widely known and accepted. Because we weren't going for that, because such a big part of the game, part of the craft was actually your pen. You actually had to be a great writer to be accepted as a great MC.
And side note, that's why as a poet, this is an interesting topic to me, is because when you write and edit, you can't really listen to music and lyrics the same, because you're always listening to it as a writer and thinking, oh, I would have edited that, unless it's a freestyle. Right. Or and so you have a huge respect for battle rap and for people that can just go there off the top of their head.
Yeah.
And you also have respect for really good lyrics being written and somebody else being good at delivering them. Because we all know lots of good writers that are not great readers, right? And so there's
Vice
lots of
versa.
people that can write lyrics and can't deliver it.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to say that I think it's perfectly fine to have some people in the studio or some people writing and then the someone else out front who is the star, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's a collaborative effort. You guys are all making magic happen. But if you want to be considered the GOAT or that's a whole different, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about all time, you're including a time in which you could not make it if you weren't the writer.
Right.
So if you're talking about greatest of all time,
right, you
can't have ghostwriters. That's just so. If you just want to be great, but you can't be the GOAT if you're not writing 100%.
And right there, that's
the trouble.
We're gonna probably talk about because while y'all were working on that Donda and Certified Lover Boy, I was watching the Rick James documentary, and for that, when we're talking about greatest of all time. Like, when you were talking about musicians, I had to watch that documentary because
it's so good.
And I'm a Tina Marie fan, of course. Everybody knows that. But the fact that man played all his instruments, and I don't even think he could read it or write.
No,
you know. Well, he I guess he learned how to write later or something. But and when we're talking about hip hop and sampling. It's all this sampling. Rappers, I can see why old school musicians did not like them sampling that stuff.
Yeah, of course.
But now...
Because somebody like Rick James worked so fucking hard. He worked with so many different people. He tried all these different lanes.
Yeah.
I learned so much from that documentary. That documentary is on Showtime. It's hella
so
good.
Dope. I mean... But, and I'm a person, like, if I'm going to listen to hip-hop, I'm going to throw this person's name out there. One of my favorite local rappers is Kev Choice. Mm-hmm. He plays the freaking piano. Like, every time I watch that dude, and he rapping along while he playing, and he got the orchestra and the band, it's like, that's taking the music piece and the hip hop piece and bringing it together. Or who else have I seen? DJ Quick, and he got the live. When they can play live band instead of a track or whatever it is.
I mean, Quick is
it's legends, like, oh my gosh, that music. Because I'm a music person. I need to hear the drums, the piano, the horn, strings, whatever you got. Blow me away. And if you ain't got it,
using that with the gospel, right? He's got a full band.
Right. I think it's really great that when people are able to play live instruments, but at the same time, I would say that Jay Dilla might be a better musician than someone that can play certain live instruments. Jay Dilla is a legendary producer, and he was sampling and making beats. So it's like, it's just different mediums. But yeah, of course, it's extra impressive if you can play actual, like, a live instrument.
And write all the songs for yourself and a whole lot of other people.
This kind of brings me back to why I think Kanye can't stand Drake. Because
I want to hear.
Because it's like, bringing up Rick James kind of made me think about Prince and Michael and their rivalry. Well, Prince could play like 27 different instruments, and Mike couldn't play a lick or nothing really.
That's why it's always Prince for me. Sorry, not the only reason.
But they both have their
thing. You made me think, Michael. I'm sorry to cut you off, but you made me think. I have found a video. Michael could not. You're right. Michael could not play, but he was always humming, and he would tell the band how the song he wanted it to go, and they had to figure out how he wanted it to go.
Right.
So you're right.
Prince could do all that.
He had to bebop.
Yeah.
And I've been that person before where, like, I'm not a good musician, like, as far as playing instruments, but if you leave me alone long enough, I can come up with something that eventually will turn into really good music. So I understand this idea of Michael Jackson knowing what to do, but not knowing how to do it himself. And so that's still genius. Because,
it is still
because
genius.
there's people that can play great. They can play, they're virtuosos, but they can't create.
If I could wake up today and be like, you know what, I got to make a song that sounds like this. Let me just find the musicians.
Right.
That's still genius.
It's genius.
Not taking anything off that. And then obviously the level of performance. But it is still that kind of level of respect. I mean, because Prince is such a good songwriter.
If you can do both.
Such an amazing songwriter.
Yeah, Prince could do both, which
right.
is probably part of the reason why he was so frustrated with Michael, because Michael was this mega star that everyone was in love with all around the world all the time.
Yeah.
And he had this aura around him. And there was this video or this story about Mike attending one of Prince's concerts and Prince walking over to the side of the stage where Mike is at and just playing guitar all in his face.
James
okay.
There was something I just watched.
And so go ahead and finish that.
Yeah.
Well, this leads into a greater point.
So, you just doing it right in his face.
I have more to say on that. So if you got something real quick.
Go ahead.
So yeah, he's playing it all in his face like, hey, I know you can't do this.
Right.
And you know you can't do this. And so to me, I feel like this is part of Kanye's frustration with Drake, because this dude, Kanye, out of anybody in hip hop, I call him the greatest overall artist in hip hop ever, because, and there's a lot of reasons for this, but he's an artist, like, for real, and he takes it across different mediums. So he's always looking to push hip hop further. He's broken hip hop 3 different times in his career and rebuilt it. With 808s and Heartbreak, no one thought that was possible. Even with his debut album, College Dropout, no one would have thought that sound was possible for hip hop at that time. And it spawned Kid Cudi, 808 spawned Drake, and then with Yeezus, Like It or Love It, he fucked some shit up with that and expanded what the sound could be for hip hop. So this is a dude who he rents out the stadium in Atlanta, in Chicago. This dude he sets himself on fire. He's like, yo, I'm gonna set myself on fire for y'all. I'm gonna make masterpieces like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, Watch the Throne, all this stuff. Look at what I'm doing for y'all. And then Drake gonna be like, one dance. You know, and that hotline bling.
And it's like, don't even have a one dance on this one.
Yeah, and he's like, and Kanye's sitting there like, really, y'all? Like, this is your champion, this is your hero. Like Drake just be like, oh, and it's like, but Kanye's like,
Drake stays in his lane.
He does. He knows what works.
Stays
for
in
him.
his lane.
But what I'm trying to say is, Kanye is somebody who is trying to pull out all the stops, and he's trying to take things to such a whole different level when he sees someone who just effortlessly makes hits out of nothing. So this is the reason why I think Kanye came out with the Poop Diddy Scoop song.
Oh my God.
I think this is the actually the exact reason why he did that.
With that.
Because that beat for Lift Yourself was actually supposed to be for Drake. And so Kanye was like, you know what? Fuck that. I'm going to just make Poop Diddy Scoop. And I feel like that's the reason, because Poop Diddy Scoop is kind of what Drake has been doing to Kanye his whole career. Meaning Kanye puts all this effort into making classic albums, and Drake is just like, I'm gonna just step in the booth and do some la-di-da type shit.
Drake does put so
I'm not saying he doesn't.
It's not one person either. It's a huge team that knows exactly. Like,
I'm not saying
there's such a formula and such a team at play. I know what you mean, but I'm also saying,
I'm not saying he's not putting a lot of effort into it. I'm just talking about like the creativity. Aspect of it is different.
It's less into the creativity and more into the study of what people are buying into on social media.
Yeah, Drake wants to give you what you want.
Yeah, exactly. And he does have it down to a science, though.
Yeah, he does. And Kanye, I think, wants to give you what he thinks you need. There's a difference in those two approaches.
Okay, this is where I feel. We're in the age of everything gotta happen right away. Instant.
Yeah.
This is why I think if we look at the old school matter of old school artists or whatever, I've been watching all these, like even BGs and BGs or whatever, documentaries, all these documentaries about artists, about there's a difference between, especially if you're a writer and creator, there's a difference where you gotta go through. This is why, and I'm gonna put myself in there. This is why I haven't been at open mic, or I haven't been writing. I wrote about the first. I'm 38, so I wrote about the first half of my life at that time. I've been through hella shit. Okay, I need to go through some more stuff. I'm not there anymore. I need to experience stuff, and then I can write. And that's the artist part, I think, of even Kanye and maybe even other people. But we're in this age of, I didn't listen to Nicki Minaj or Cardi B and Megan. I don't listen to all these people. I listen to people who been, like, they put out quality content to me. There's this guy, Xavier Omar. I don't even know how I found him. I was like, okay. I like something with some melodic stuff. It's just, artists, if you're going, like you said, it's this formula that everybody kind of figured out, especially in the digital age with music, is, okay, just do this many albums. Do they even call it EPs anymore? What they call it? Yeah, they call it EPs, not LPs, whatever they call it. They call it these short albums or whatever. But it's like, here, I'm just going to drop something for you. I'm going to hop on somebody's song and do a verse here and there. It's like, you're just trying to stay relevant.
Yeah,
and just blow up your social media. That's, to me.
Well, yeah, it's
more,
a new game.
It's more hits. Like, it's more playlists. So basically, this is part of the reason why both of these albums are over 20 tracks, because it's what a lot of people are doing these days. Is they're just making playlists to get streams. They're not necessarily trying to make cohesive, like, sounding albums that have a real identity. So a lot of Drake's stuff, and this is one of my gripes with him, because it's like, if you want to be the greatest of all time and you don't have, to me, what I would consider classic albums, you just have a list of hits, that is very impressive. No, there's no way in this world I'm going to say that Drake isn't madly impressive as someone who can knock out hits effortlessly like it's nothing, more than anyone else. But when you don't have the classic albums to really bolster that, it's different, man. When you look at someone like Kanye, or you look at someone like Kendrick, every single project he's ever done is fire. Every album is fire. Drake, more hits than anyone else, but to me, the only albums that's like I could even consider being a classic is Take Care and Nothing Was the Same. After that, I don't, whatever, like, there's a lot of good hits on, like, across the board with, like, Views, Scorpion, whatever. If you're reading This Is Too Late, More Life, whatever. But none of them sound like anything other than just playlists. And to me, from the era that I came up in, you went to the store to unwrap, an album. It was supposed to be an experience that stayed with you for a whole summer or a whole year or longer. It was supposed to kind of signify an era, and it just doesn't feel like that with anything that Drake is doing.
Being a lot younger than me, how did you buy music? You bought CDs? Did you buy CDs growing up?
Bought CDs.
Did you buy cassettes?
I had cassettes. I didn't buy them.
Do you buy vinyl?
Yes.
Still? Now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And do you stream now?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just curious. Because, like
vinyl is never going to go out of style. CDs.
It did for a long time.
It did.
Y'all brought it back.
It did, but it was destined to come back.
Brought it back.
It was destined to come back.
But, like, my son has never bought any kind of music. He's never bought anything. My entire life was spent, like, amassing cassettes and then switching to CDs, and then, like, they're just pictures on the wall now.
Mm-hmm. I had the whole booklet for all the CDs.
Okay.
No, I had both. Okay, I grew up with a family who I still got my mom. My daughter had to write this for history artifact. She used my mom's 1991 or 1990 Sony stereo with that big speaker, but and she talked about where did grandma buy this, but I'm not throwing that away. Like, it don't work. I don't even think it works anymore. Or we listen to everything on the phone and everything now, but that's still there. I have all my albums. I'm talking about albums, okay? Right. We talking about Earth, Wind, and Fire, all of that. Yes. I got a moving crate full of albums. Not the milk crate. We're not doing crate challenges either, but I'm talking about the plastic bins of albums. Yep. Being from Berkeley, I used to take my little few lunch dollars and go up to Amoeba, Rasputin's on Telegraph. That was when in high school is when I really appreciated Tina Marie. So I was collecting all her albums for like what, $1.95, $2.95.
It's funny because I met a Berkeley dude back in the 90s that was all Tina Marie, nothing else.
Yeah, nothing else. And I collected all her albums.
I can't even remember his name.
But... And I love the album. That signified a time. No, and that was back then.
Liner
okay,
notes,
this is the other thing. That was back then when your
covers,
album
everything.
cover had to be dope.
Yeah.
You can't be just, I don't know what they, like Drake is all these women with different colors that are pregnant. I'm like, no, that's not an album cover.
Because Drake is of an era that is been streaming and it doesn't really matter, and he's just, I think, trolling with that cover.
The streaming era is different because, like, back then you actually had to get up out of bed, you had to you had to put on some clothes, either take a bus or drive or walk to the store, buy it,
wait in line,
unwrap the plastic and get home or get to your car wherever and then pop it in. So it's like it was a whole different. Nowadays, kids can roll out of bed, still in their drawers or whatever they wear or don't wear, and just press play.
I do.
Yeah. So it's just so nonchalant.
In the shower when I listen to Kanye first.
Yeah, it's so nonchalant now where it's not really an experience. So when people, I have 1 million streams, whatever, that's not. It's kids these days act like that's supposed to really impress me. It's different when you have people go out and buy albums.
Well, and this is the thing. Back then, I don't know how the streaming thing worked. They just say when they're going to release it. But back then, albums were released on Tuesdays. You knew the date. I knew all the dates.
It's Friday now.
It's
Friday now.
For streaming or album?
Streaming.
Oh, streaming. Fuck it.
Anyway. So every Friday, I listen to new releases. That's a thing that I do.
Okay.
But Kanye, there's a whole. You want to get into how he released it and how it was?
Yeah, I still want to. I want to get into that. I actually want to get into the Drake album.
Okay.
But yeah, since you brought it up, how he released it. So yeah, I guess what do we start with? Like the stadium tour, like so. Kanye is one of the few artists, maybe the only one so far, who can go on tour before the album even comes out. Before anyone hears anything, right. You're selling out stadiums. Right. It's ridiculous. But yeah, he started out in Atlanta, which is where he was born. It has some significance. And then he did a second show in Atlanta and then ended up in Chicago. And for the last show in Chicago, brought a replica of his house. They rebuilt his home in Chicago. He wanted to bring the real house to Soldier Field, which is where the Chicago Bears play. But yeah, so he had the house built, which is just the spectacle of it. I think that's part of why a lot of people are turned off too, is because you did all this stuff. The album was bound to disappoint on some level because you made this shit a huge ass deal before anyone really got a chance to just hear the music. And I think when people just heard the music, it hit different than having the visual element, the whole spectacle of being in the arena with all these different people who are paid to run around in Donda suits and everything and like setting the house.
There's not Donda suits, really? No.
They just have like the black. They weren't all black, and they have like the bulletproof vest with the Donda on. The back.
Okay. I was like, what the fuck is
No, I mean,
suit?
I mean that's the thing.
No, I think
Kanye,
you're probably right. I'm sure that he put together a live experience.
Yeah, that is the whole thing about Kanye is that his artistry, he wants to see it play out over a lot of different mediums. It's not just music to him. That's why he did all the fashion stuff, which was, to me, it was whack, but whatever.
You got any of these shoes?
Those shower shoes?
No.
Penitentiary shower shoes?
Don't get it twisted. I am a fan of Kanye's music, and I think the shoes are probably dope, but I'm not buying no Yeezys. I'm just not.
Hell no.
Yeah, you can forget that. Even though I do think that they're dope, but I'm not buying them. But yeah, so I think he just made such a huge deal out of it that people were just gonna be overwhelmed no matter what. And I think the way Drake came out, he's just like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna put out this music, rent out a couple billboards real quick.
Did Drake do it? Was the first tracks directed at Kanye?
The what?
Like the first tracks, the diss tracks or whatever is definitely directed at Kanye.
Yeah,
do we know this?
Definitely.
Okay.
So Drake's album.
Do you think
he starts
Drake fuck him?
I don't know. I think he wants to. I don't know if I don't know if he did or not. I mean, because you know how petty Drake is.
Drake is super petty.
I mean, both him and Kanye are petty. So
yeah, they're both super petty.
Don't let me fool you and make it seem like just because I'm a fan of Kanye's music that I only take his side on shit. Like Kanye's petty as hell too.
Petty as.
But that's why they both lock horns like that, because they're both petty. Mm-hmm. But so. Drake is the same dude that's talking about like waiting till all your shit goes on auction so he can buy out, like, just weird stuff, man.
Drake just says some funny shit.
Like I'm sure Drake doesn't even really want to fuck Kim, but he would do it just to spite Kanye. Yes, he would do it. Yeah. He would just do it just for that. Yeah. Which I don't know if that means he really wants to fuck Kanye or not. I don't know.
Oh,
I'm just playing.
No,
I'm just playing.
Don't go there.
But they both have a heart on for each other, right?
Yeah.
So, but I think. Drake started out Certified Lover Boy with this intro, which he's been historically great at having these great intro tracks to most of his albums. So the first one is called Champagne Poetry, which I'm like, whatever, my nigga. Like, okay.
I did listen to that.
Like,
as poets, it's hilarious.
Champagne Poetry is for people who just drink Moscato and don't know how to read. And it's not me hating on illiteracy or Moscato, because I fuck with Moscato and whatever. But Champagne Poetry is a cheesy name. But
I think it's supposed to be funny, no?
Nah, that's
Champagne Poppy. So it's Champagne Poetry because he's Champagne Poppy.
I agree, but I don't think it's supposed to be funny. I just think it's in line with his brand.
Oh, it better be.
But so he launches into that first track, and it sounds really dope. And he does like the whole beat flip in the middle of the track to make it sound like you're experiencing something rare and epic. Whatever, it's a mind trick. But the album starts out pretty decent with that first track. You would expect an album named Certified Lover Boy to like really put you in that R&B mode and to really be, for an album called Certified Lover Boy, there's no love on it.
I agree.
There's no love.
I agree.
And it's misleading. It doesn't have to do that, but like, why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Make it about love in some kind of way, or
he
seduction
wasn't in
at least.
Mood at all. No,
there's no love.
You're right.
And I have my joints on this album that I love, but I feel like at a certain point, it kind of falls into this like quagmire area where like there's like a 2 or 3 songs after the first one that's like, all right, I don't really care too much about this, but then he brings it back with some more hype shit. Mm-hmm. There's this one called Girls Like Girls or whatever, yeah. And so like I don't know who was on his team that decided the whole like you say you're a lesbian, well me too. Okay. Yo, that line, that line would have flown for Take Care Drake. Like 2010, 2011 Drake could have got away with that line.
Yeah.
But
in 2021, that
and it's not even
really sounds
yeah.
stupid.
Yeah, and it's not even that it's just like offensive, but it's like it's just dumb at this
It's
point.
so
We all heard it before. It's old. It's tired. So it's lazy, and it sucks because that song is actually really catchy, and I feel like he wasted Lil Baby's feature on that because Lil Baby sounds dope. Lil Baby is gonna adapt to anything. He's just that caliber. That dude can do pretty much adapt to any beat. But why not have him on something a little bit more hype to what we want to hear from Lil Baby? Don't put him on this like BS little girls like you. Like, come on, we don't want to hear that.
That's true.
Yeah.
And
talk about Andre 3000.
I definitely want to get to
okay,
that.
because
I
mean,
told
if
you
you
there's
want to
like
talk
a lot.
about writing, like that
Yes.
shit is fire.
I told you there was a lot I wanted to get to.
No, it's okay. I'm not trying to. I'm just thinking.
So getting.
I like the baby, but
Yeah, I know
he's
you do.
problematic.
I know you do. But so there's other tracks that I like. My favorite track on CLB is damn. Now I just lost it. But
It's all right. Come back around.
yeah. It's like fair trade, where it's like I've been losing friends and finding peace. Sounds like a fair trade to me. And I was like, yo, that song, that's like to me the best song on the album because it's so true. A lot of people is like really relating to it because people go through that in life where you have these friends, and then as you grow, you might part ways or strained relationships, but then you find your peace and realizing like, yo, I don't actually need that type of energy right now. I'm growing. So he wrote that, and that really a lot of people relate to it, which is dope. But I wish he would have lost one friend and found peace. And what I mean when I say that is later in that song, Travis Scott is a feature.
Oh.
And I feel like it's so unnecessary. Like, we don't need Travis. Like, Drake was bodying this beat. He was bodying this song. And it's like, why do the whole beat flip and have Travis on here doing his Southpaw weird shit that he does, which I fuck with Travis, but you were not needed on Fair Trade. Drake had it. He's good. You can stay home for this one, Travis.
I mean, the level of features everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the other thing is I think he actually got the most out of the features, and they had a lot of the same artists featured on each other's albums, but I think the features that Kanye got out of those artists are actually better. I think they really shined more on Donda. But Drake, you asked if he directed anything at Kanye. 7 a.m. on the Bridle Path. That was a scorcher. Like he basically like put Ye in the scope, and he scorched him. Like, he killed him with that. Anytime Drake lists a time and a place on a song, he's on dirt. Like, he really is.
Petty.
He's really about to tell you something, because that 7 a.m. on the Bridle Path, he went in. You know how Kanye shared Drake's address?
Yes.
Drake was like,
I mean, what the hell with that?
Everyone knew Drake's address anyway, but it was still petty. It was dumb. And
so dumb.
So Drake on 7 a.m. on the Bridle Path was just like, yo, like, why didn't you just give your Uber driver that address and make that your destination? Like, he's like, yo, come meet me at my front door. Don't play with me.
Right.
And so this is how I know, like, this stuff is getting real serious, because Kanye's on some like real gang shit. Like, he's repping GD hard.
Yeah. Talk about that. Yeah. Let's talk about that.
I mean, he's telling Drake, yo, don't play with me on folk, and like on GD, and then like
Gangster Disciples.
Yeah, okay. And Drake is countering back, like saying, I don't know what's wrong with you, folk. And folk is like, that's basically describing GD, because they're folk. They're part of that type of gangster in Chicago. Yeah. So in Chicago we have peoples and folks, and that's more than just Chicago. But like GD is folks, so that's Drake is like really
The GD
coming back
is
at that.
very specific to Chicago.
Oh yeah,
like,
GD's
Bloods
very,
and Crips have gone everywhere, but Chicago is very specific, and he calling that out. So that's
So
I did not see Kanye going there.
Yeah, so this is on a gospel record.
On
right?
a gospel record.
And this is why so many people are like, yo, what are you doing? You're a hypocrite, Kanye. But see,
he's always a hypocrite.
This is why I can appreciate.
But he's a Gemini, though.
Everybody's a hypocrite, but he does take it to a next level.
This is why I can appreciate it, though, is that most Christians that I've ever come across in life, and I grew up Christian, are hypocrites. So Kanye doing this is not really off brand for them. Like, it's like, okay, I can appreciate that consistency with it. It's like, okay, you're big time Christian and you're a big time hypocrite too, just like so many other Christians I know. And that's not me trying to say that they're bad people, but it's like people are complicated. There's a lot of contradictions, and those things can be entertaining when you're a star of his caliber. People want those contradictions sometimes.
People want it, but he beats people over the head with shit.
Oh,
So
yeah.
he has some fucking audacity to come with shouting out gang shit. I'm sorry. That's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, but he, on that song where you was having sex to Lord Jesus.
Oh, God. It was like...
So at the end of that, he has, Larry Hoover, which was, big time, gang leader in Chicago. He comes out, or not Larry Hoover himself, but Larry Hoover's son comes out and kind of, talks about Kanye's effort to free him after spending decades in prison.
Yes.
And so, like, Kanye's consistently, like, on that gang shit. Like, he's got the 6-point star on his album art and everything. Like, it's crazy. But yeah, he's very much into that. A lot of people were saying that.
Did he ever make reference before? Because I don't remember him ever making reference before.
I don't know if he was specific about GD often before. It was, I mean, he probably brought up gang stuff at different points in his career, because
did he?
Part of his whole thing of, you're talking about a billionaire at this point. So part of his whole thing about people believing he's true to Chicago or staying real was him, like, still trying to, like, drop references connecting him to Chicago.
Yeah, I get that. But I find that really fucked up when that many people are dying every fucking day.
Oh, yeah.
And you're sitting in LA in a lap of luxury. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's definitely
foul.
fucked up. It's definitely fucked up and negligent. But
I understand why. I get it, but it's not okay.
No, Kanye's done even in the rollout of this album, the show at Soldier Field, he brought out Marilyn Manson, which to me, I was like, what? Why is he needed? Like, what are you doing right now? I get, like, he brought the baby verse back on the jail. He put it on jail, and I'm like, yo, I know how much you love the baby cast, but you're aware, you know what's going on. So it's like,
I don't put too much on it.
No, but when we
have features like Jay-Z or Andre to talk about, I don't want to put too much on the baby.
Oh, I'm not gonna go on.
I can not ever hear the baby again and be okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just saying.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel you. I know you're not an apologist for his behavior. I just know, even just earlier you mentioned you had listened to his music.
Normally listen to him. I normally like him.
But
think he's adorable. But he's acting foul, and
so
I can cancel him so easily. It will mean nothing to me.
I thought it was fucked up for Kanye to put him and Marilyn Manson at the forefront of this project. I just like this about your mom too. Like,
right?
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Like, it's just stupid. And I think it's just part of the reason why so many people are just so ready to dismiss his music, even when it can be considered great. It's like, I don't know how great we can. It's always going to ring hollow if you're not respecting black women. if you're not respecting black people, or if you're not willing to give black women credit, or even put women rappers on your album. Like your greatness is always gonna ring hollow if you're idolizing white men. If you're wearing the red cap, the Trump hat, like there's always gonna be something missing, no matter how great you are, if you're not coming correct with that type of stuff. So that rubbed me the wrong way, seeing Marilyn Manson out there with him, knowing everything that's, the allegations of sexual assault and harassment and all that surrounding him. With Drake, he's also kind of complicated. When we talked about the toxic masculinity issue with the album, and like he paid R. Kelly on Certified Lover Boy. He had to give him credit and pay him because he used a sample that included some of R. Kelly's catalog, I guess.
Is anybody following the trial at all?
I'm not following.
I saw the documentary, and
yeah, me too.
But
the trial's happening now, and every day there's a doctor. There's, like a lot of stuff that I didn't know, and I watched all the documentaries.
Yeah.
But Aaliyah was pregnant. That's why he married her.
Well, we knew that back then. Well,
did we? I
didn't know she was pregnant. I didn't think
I did.
Well, okay, maybe not pregnant. Well, no. If you kind of think about it, and that was also part of the clothing too. She wore a lot of overalls. So,
it was the style. We all dressed like that back then.
Yeah.
And she was skinny. So it wasn't like you saw a lot of ass because she didn't have it.
No, she didn't have it like that.
But that's what we were talking about when we're talking about toxic masculinity.
Well, the judge that married them has spoke his employee that said, hey, she's pregnant. And then he said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to lie about her age, and y'all are going to get married. There's been a whole bunch of interesting stuff. And that there's also dudes, and I knew this after I watched the documentary, was going to be, there's dudes saying he sexually assaulted them as well. Yeah. I mean, there's no question, because there was the little girl on there that he had dressing like a boy and all that. I knew that shit.
Yeah.
That dude was a sick.
What's going on with those Chicago people, man?
Man, don't put this on my city. Don't put this on my city, man. Because we got weirdos everywhere out here.
We do. But yeah, it's just the R. Kelly thing. It's like
it's just our weirdos achieve superstar status. And that's weird.
That is weird.
But I was going to say, I don't think any elementary school is going to be doing I Believe I Can Fly for graduation.
Do you know that my son, every year, every preschool, every event, my child is singing that playlist.
Shit. I'm sorry.
I'm sad to say.
We could even go as far to almost kind of claim Michael Jackson in Chicago, because he's right in Indiana. He's like in Gary or somewhere in Indiana.
It's not far.
It's not far at all.
And
he's a weirdo.
He's a weirdo. Yeah. I'm sorry. To me, he's on R. Kelly status with the weirdo-ness. I'm sorry.
That's a weird dude.
Yeah.
I know people get upset.
I mean, obviously, these dudes have played a role in many of our lives. Their music.
I mean, Bum and Grind might come on my playlist.
No, when
sometimes.
I go to Chicago,
but I would never do anything to support that dude or nothing. Never.
When I go to Chicago, my mom is unapologetically playing R. Kelly, and I tried to argue with her about it one time, and I give up. I just give up. But
I had a student though when I tried to talk to him, because he was so big on R. Kelly, and I'm talking about this is like back in 2005, and I was trying to talk to him about R. Kelly is not the person you think he is. The student got on Facebook and he says, "Oh my gosh, I don't like R. Kelly anymore." And I was like, "Really? What happened?" He said, "I just woke up and realized how wrong he was. You were right." I was like, I mean, but you can't force that. They got to think about it for themselves.
People got to take it in.
Yeah, and I also think that there are women, there are people, but more specifically, there are women, and even more specifically, there are Black women of a certain generation that, because of the generation that they had lived in and came up in, are kind of it's a habit to kind of apologize for black men who do weird shit like this because we're used to the whole narrative of black men being under attack, which it's not necessarily a false narrative, but it's like you're leaving a lot of black women vulnerable out here to these predatory black men by apologizing for them all these years.
Well, I mean, yeah, he got away with that shit for way too long. And yes, he was a victim too. That's how somebody gets that twisted, is that some shit was done to them when they were a kid. And
so what I'm saying with that is that there's a lot of older people that will look at the woman and be like, oh, well, you know, what was she wearing? Oh, like, I don't believe the parents. They wanted it. Like, there's
I've
a
had
lot
that
of
argument
that
way too much with people that I respect and care about, you know, and still, like, yeah, they just trying to get money out of them. They're opportunists. Like, there's a lot of that going on, which I don't doubt that some of that could be happening, but we know R. Kelly. It doesn't make him less wrong. The motherfucker was locking women up and having them pee in buckets and
that's too much.
So Drake is not doing any of that.
No,
Drake is not doing any of that stuff. By the way, he just paid R. Kelly for this.
But it's still, I mean, the whole point is you trying to make sure when this whole, what is it? Is it called cancel culture? I can't keep up with all these online things. You know, you just want to make sure everybody quick to denounce you if you associate or did something with someone that, you know, like, okay. Even Bill Cosby. And I said, okay, let me make it clear. I like the show. The show was great. Y'all confusing the actual person with the character with Cliff Huxtable. They're differences.
We gonna have the cancel culture the conversation.
I've done several pods on that already.
but
I personally, in my own life, do separate somebody's art from how fucked up they are, because I feel like we would lose almost everything at this point.
It's definitely true.
But that's me, and I also respect people that are just like, no. And Bill Cosby's the worst, like R. Kelly. They are real fucking predators that really abused people and are horrible.
Yeah.
Get no passes from me at all. And the fact they trying to get Bill Cosby out of jail infuriates me.
Well, they did
so much. They did. But there are so many people that need to get out of jail, and then you letting this piece of shit who should just die there.
Sorry,
I can't.
Exactly. Right, you know,
straight up.
Yeah.
You know, I said Drake is not doing any of that stuff, but there are rumors of him grooming underage women, and you know, just doing like more of the soft predatory behavior. So you know, that's not cool either. But I know you want to talk about 3 Stacks.
I heard that, and I'm like, I don't care about any of the other guests.
Yeah.
What he wrote for the Donda album was so fucking good. Like, you know, I wish Apollo was here, because he'd probably go on a tangent.
Well,
he loves some Outkast.
He did exactly. You know, I was watching a podcast today, and they were like, you know, that song, if it were on the album, that song is an album changer, especially for this one because he addressed Kanye's mother directly in the verse. You know, like, hey, Miss Donda, and it was just so much in line with what we thought was the spirit of this.
I think it's
album.
What the album should have been.
It's what it needed, and so he pens this heartfelt verse about what it was like to lose his own mother, and how that relates to Kanye losing his mother and things like that. It's just beautiful when you see one of the GOATs, one of the greatest of all time, come out of his comfort, whatever his obscure place that he likes to be in, and just come out and deliver just this.
It's
just such
you
beauty.
Will cry.
You have to respect it.
Yeah,
you will respect this. Oh my God!
And it's
gonna tear you up.
It's a song.
It's
called The Life of the Party.
It was gonna be Andre 3000's feature on Donda, but it was pulled because it wasn't clean. Because he says fuck, and
Yeah, he says
The
some
latter part
stuff
or something.
Yeah, he
or
says
something about sex.
Yeah.
some
But it's
stuff.
like it would have been the best part of the whole thing, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, he says some stuff near the end, but you know, Andre made a statement about all this, and he goes on to say that he actually wasn't aware that this was supposed to be a clean album. So you know that played a part into
Right. He
the
didn't
confusion
tell him.
about it.
Okay. So why he didn't do that?
I really don't know, but the reason why Andre 3000 had to come out with a statement, which he doesn't really like to do the whole public statement thing,
Nope.
but he had to do it because these niggas, Drake and Kanye, dragged him into some shit that was just so beneath 3 Stacks. He had no reason to be in it. What he wrote about had nothing to do with they petty ass little boy beef.
Yep.
And so I think Kanye, the version that was leaked, Kanye wasn't done with it and he had no intention of putting it out as is. I think Kanye actually probably recognized that as is, this couldn't be put out. That's why he didn't put it on. Part of why he didn't put it on the album.
Because I think because it had to do with getting the rating of the gospel album, right?
Yes, but also
getting the sales number. It's all numbers shit, right?
Yes, but also Kanye in his verse spends very little time talking about Donda or, you know, any of that. He you know, launches directly into an attack on Drake. Mm-hmm. And so I think he recognized that, oh, this is not a good look to have this song that's supposed to, Andre does this heartfelt thing and Kanye turns it into this beef with Drake. I think Kanye recognized that. And so part of it, is the numbers and wanting it to be clean and blah, blah, blah. But part of it, I think he recognized that, oh, this is not a good look for me to put this out.
It's unfortunate that it didn't just make him step up his game. I really mean that. I really mean that verse, that shit should have made him rethink the whole fucking album.
Yes, but
that's my opinion.
But here's the thing with that is that we don't know if it didn't do that and he didn't rewrite and finish it yet. He didn't put it out because for whatever reason, he felt like it either didn't belong or it just wasn't done. And if you heard the whole thing, you know that shit wasn't done. And so we don't know. He might have actually felt like, oh, I need to come up with something better, but he just didn't have the time to do it because Drake leaked it. Because Drake saw it as an opportunity to throw some salt into Kanye's game. So Drake somehow came into possession of this track and he leaked it. And so Andre goes on to address the fact that he feels, in so many words, he feels slighted by both Drake and Kanye. Because, yes, Kanye shouldn't have made a diss about Drake on a record that you have a legend being heartfelt, opening his heart about the death of his mother. But also, Drake should have never put that out.
No, that was foul.
Yeah.
I mean, they're playing some stupid games.
And sure. Andre said he wanted to be on Certified Lover Boy, too.
He said he loves both of them and he would want to be on both their projects.
So, I personally feel like, you know, I personally feel like it's more on Drake because it would have never came out without him. We would have never heard this without him. But Kanye's, you know, if you're someone like Kanye who kind of is playing around freestyling, we hear him humming melodies that's not done on a lot of his work. So he playing around with shit, and a lot of times when you do that, when you freestyle, you don't really stay on topic. And I think that's kind of what happened. And it was never meant to get out like that.
No, I don't think, I think that's true. But it's just a reminder when you hear it, it's like all these, oh, was it a 6, a 7, a 10, da da da. None of that shit matters when you hear something like that you're just like, this is better than all that shit.
Well, so people were
it's Andre 3000, it's better than all that shit. I would definitely much rather listen to this.
When Drake leaked it, everybody was like, yo, this is the hottest shit that Drake dropped this week.
That's pretty good.
I mean,
that's funny.
I really think Donda, there's a great album in Donda. I really think that if people can get over how they feel about Kanye, or if they can get into the right mood where they can accept how heavy and dark and exhausting it can be, you realize there's some great artwork in that. But it would be so much better if Andre was on it.
Doesn't that make you just want to take this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm telling you this now. I guarantee you I'll never listen to the whole thing all the way through again. I'll take a few songs and put them in a playlist.
What I did is I actually pared it down. I took out all the tracks. I thought I don't think any of the songs are bad, but I turned it into the album that I thought it should have been.
Okay.
I made my own playlist. You know. And I left out some really fire songs. But I just felt like, yo, this is how this album should be experienced. Yeah. I mean, hey.
No, I feel that.
I'm actually interested in the
song. Way to do it.
I'm actually interested in the songs you didn't like.
I'm going to listen more and I'll get back to you on that.
Cool. But yeah, I think Drake's record, it feels better. Like Kanye is not easy listening. Right. You have to either be someone who enjoys like deep dives like that, or you have to just be in the mood for it. But Drake, you don't need to be in the mood. You can listen to Drake at any time.
Anytime. No, it doesn't matter. And we would not have had to change the playlist if
it was Drake. Yeah.
Just saying.
Even when I'm Too Sexy comes on.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that video.
I saw it.
You see the video where Drake is all fat?
It reminds me of I Want to Get Physical. Because he's wearing, workout clothes.
I think Drake has come to a point, and other people have mentioned this, but they feel like this album is actually a parody album. Mm-hmm. And I feel like he's gotten to that point where he's hit a wall. And so now all he can do really is reference his older work. You hear Wayne and Ross on a record late in the album, and that's a nod to Lord Knows off Take Care, where you had Wayne and Ross on that. Drake knows people loved that vibe. People love that shit. Oh, so why not just repackage it and give it to him again? And that's where he's at, to where his fan base is loyal, but they're going to get older, and he's going to have to find a way to mature on some level, because the younger kids that's coming up after them, they're going to have their own heroes. Everyone at some point is going to want to see someone fall. They want to see someone rise to the peak, and then they want to see the fall. And at some point, you have to push the goalpost. You can't just keep doing the same album if you're Drake. He got away with it for a while, so hey, there's no telling how long he can get away with it. But yeah, I feel like he's getting to a point where he has to show us some type of growth, because this man is 35 and he's still making records.
Baby. How old are you?
I'm 36.
Okay.
But it's like, yeah, that may be a baby, but that's still old. That's still, I mean, to you that might be a baby, but like that's still too old for you to maybe be making songs that college girls like are really rocking with the same way. Like, I don't know. It's like
I mean, it depends on your life so much. At 35, I was somebody's mom and had been for a long time, and I had to worry about picking them up from school and blah, blah, blah. It does give you a very different perspective than, I mean, And
right? I don't mean college girls shouldn't be relating to Drake or like enjoying Drake, but I mean, like, when your album talks about like situationships that like just seem like they involve like much younger demographic. It's just weird at 35. Too old for
situationships personally, but
I'm not saying that. It just seemed like it seemed like the nature of his situationships and the type of songs it is. It just seems very like immature at this point.
Well, I mean, the man has been on a mission to like fuck everything everything moving. Everybody famous and lightweight famous, and anybody he thinks anybody else famous wants to fuck, he's gonna, that's
Right.
his thing, which is why I think it's called Certified Lover Boy.
To me, I think what gets overlooked is I think the Kanye Drake beef is kind of tired at this point. They've been at this for a while, but I think the thing that gets overlooked is the fact that I feel like Nas won album of the year. I think he beat both of them with King's Disease too.
Is that right?
I think so.
Okay.
Because I don't know if you listen to King's
there's
Disease
actually,
too.
I have been listening. There's a lot of stuff to listen to right now.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's why I'm having so much trouble. I'm listening to Styles P, new shit, and I have a lot of things that I'm listening to. So R&B, all different kind of stuff that it's like I don't want to waste any time. I have lots of things I want to,
Yeah. For the longest time, I think one of the knocks on Nas was that, like, oh, he's terrible at picking beats. He doesn't know.
I know people say that, yeah.
And I was someone who said that for the longest. I agree with that. I agree with that assessment of Nas. But I feel like he met a producer in Hit Boy that totally gets his sound. He knows how to craft music that fits Nas' swag, his perspective in life, where he is right now. I do think
Nas is in a good place. I've seen Nas in a lot of places where I was like, nah, that ain't it. And I think you're right. I do think he's in a good place.
I don't think any of these records beat King's Disease at this point. I feel like this is his best record in many, 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 many years. And he's given us something that nobody contemporary can give us.
Okay, I listened to King's Disease a lot, but I haven't listened to King's Disease 2 a lot yet. I just played it once. So I'm going to go revisit that. I've been listening to Cleo Soul like nonstop. This R&B, love it. But we do have to go.
Sure. There's one thing.
Yeah, I know.
Quickly want to mention because it's lurking. It's in the periphery.
Oh,
Kendrick is dropping. Sometime soon.
Yes.
And what gets lost in the sauce is the fact that you have somebody that could be considered the GOAT. You have these two people beefing, and the Wolf.
Yeah.
He's
hilarious.
Coming.
He's just
Kendrick
sitting
is coming.
back watching. Kendrick is coming. Facts.
Yeah.
And he's making statements about how, I'm just fixing up beach cruises and
right.
blah, 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 blah.
We know what you're doing, Kendrick.
He's coming.
You preparing for annihilation.
He's loading the chamber. Yeah.
We know what
he's
you're
coming.
doing, Kendrick.
That's facts. Well, we can reconvene and talk about Kendrick any old time. But we have been chatting for quite some time. Is there anything that you have coming up, photography, readings, anything that we need to plug before we go? You're taking a little break but you've published how many books? Gang load of books. So
let me see. I do have a performance next week with disability artists in Palo Alto. It's on my Facebook. I forgot what it's called.
Joy
but yeah.
Elan. Do you have a website?
Yep. AuthorJoyElan.com, Reverb Nation, Facebook. Yeah, I'm Googleable, so AuthorJoyElan.com. And I'll be in Palo Alto. Just look it up.
Perfect. And you definitely have a beautiful website.
He got a beautiful face.
Man, your face is so beautiful.
I didn't know how to respond to any of that. Like, this is
website, my friend.
You can just follow my.
I'm seeing dope photography all the time. Your book is available at nomadicpress.org if not through you, but your website is.
Man, you can just follow my photo journey on Instagram. I'm at Playdate Photo on Instagram, and I have an upcoming exhibition at the East Bay Photo Collective, and that's in Chinatown off 8th Street. They just moved into a new space, and they're having their inaugural exhibition, which I'm part of.
Super
and some
dope.
of the work that's featured there is a Black and Asian solidarity photo. We did a demonstration in the intersection in Chinatown earlier this year, and that's what the photo is. If you have any time on the 18th stop by.
September 18th.
September 18th is right next to
Oakland, California, Chinatown.
Yep, it's right next to the Asian Resource Center on 8th Street. So yeah, check it out.
Awesome.
I officially, ratings wise, give Drake maybe a 6 for Certified Lover Boy. I give Donda, man, somewhere around an 8, 7 and 8, somewhere in there. Yeah,
I feel that. But people should listen to Nas.
Yes, most definitely.
And we all are holding our breath till Kendrick comes.
I give that. I give Nas a 9.
Dope. Oh, a 9. Okay, I'm gonna go give that a hard listen. Yeah. Thanks so much for coming through, y'all. I love talking this stuff with y'all. I feel like I wish I did a little bit more homework, but that's okay. We'll do it again.
Sorry, it's always a good chat.
I knew you would. I knew you did.
He took over the show.
I'm sorry.
I was like, well, why am I here? I'm joking.
No,
I really didn't.
No, but I was listening. I was like, wow, maybe I need to go listen.
If people can watch the Rick James documentary, what is it called again? Wild and Out or something? What is it called? The Rick James documentary it's on Showtime.
It's called Bitchin'.
Bitchin'. It's called Bitchin'. It's so
but
good.
It's really good and
so interesting.
But it's straight from the horse's mouth. It's him. It's his daughter. His oldest daughter helped put it together.
Yeah.
And it just talk about. I mean, we didn't even get a chance to talk about the pettiness, but
there's some real pettiness there too.
That's the whole point. Is when you think you're the master, like you said, it's always somebody. I don't think Prince was trying to knock him out. But it was just the fact that they both creative geniuses. Yeah. And they like, I'm going to show you I'm the best at my craft. Yeah. Whatever it is. Tina Marie was just like, look, I like both of y'all. And, but it's good. But that's what I miss.
Also, The Upsetter, the Lee Scratch Perry documentary, which is on YouTube, is super dope. Highly recommend that if you're a music head. Really good. I'm
gonna quickly say this about Drake real quick, is I feel like he was unfortunate with some current events, missing the mark on some shit. So like with his album cover, all the pregnant women at a time where we got Texas putting bounties on women's heads for like getting abortions, it's kind of a weird thing to like. I know he didn't know it was gonna happen. He didn't know it was gonna happen. I'm actually not completely mad at the album cover. But I also understand why people are. And then the other thing, he has some line about, I smoke him on and off the track like Sha'Carri. Well, yeah, she just like got smoked. Like, got smoked.
Right.
Yeah, well.
So he just has some unlucky bars in there.
That's what happens when you do shout out things that are so relevant time-wise. We live in a time where there's headlines coming so fast that if you do that, you risk like dating yourself because you don't know what the end of that story is going to be.
Yep.
Right. All right. Well, cheers, y'all. We're going to check out this time. Thanks so much for tuning into the Badass Bookworm podcast. Look for these dope writers right here.